What's going on, everybody? Non here, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Destined Rivals because there are some allocations coming this week. But before I do that, I just want to clear something up. So we have some folks in Discord who, um, there's a lot of people that aren't quite educated with TCG Player, and what I mean is with pre-sales, the way that the rules for TCG Player work is if you're a seller, a buyer can cancel at any point in time, and there's nothing you can do. Um, any point up until the item is shipped. The item can't be shipped until release day. Funds do not transact until the product is delivered. So if you're buying, your credit card doesn't get charged, and if you're selling, you don't collect any money until the product is delivered, and then it goes through the normal process with TCG Player. So unlike if you sell to any of the large pre-order shops 3 months in advance where you're giving them a 3-month interest-free loan, that doesn't happen with TCG Player. So in essence, I can order a case 10 5 whatever Destined Rivals ETBs at $219 each right now. If I don't like the price 3 days before release, I just cancel it. It doesn't matter. If I like it, well, guess what? Then the seller's stuck with that price, and good for me. So if I was specking on this, and I like some of the prices here, TCG Player is probably the best place to do it, because if you're going to lose, you just cancel. If you're going to win, the seller's bound by the sale. So just a little bit of education here for folks, because it's not what you think it is. It's not like there's 100 people doing really really dumb things. There are certainly some, I'm sure, but I think generally speaking, most people just take advantage of the system and they place an order and then they cancel it if it doesn't work in their favor. So that being said, um, I've mentioned before that distributors run allocations effectively two different ways. Now, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but some distributors, they take orders, they know what they get, and then they kind of chop it up, then they do their announcement, right? Or they give you your allocation. Other distributors, the second that they know what they're going to get, they'll go through the math and they will post your allocations. They will give you up to X number of boxes or items of each SKU. How many do you want? So there are 4 of those, I believe, coming either across this coming week and next week. And the reason why that's important is we have a couple different data points that are a little nebulous right now. So we have the Pokemon company saying, not publicly, but stating that they really don't have any additional capacity to ramp up the print runs in total, in aggregate, because any of their excess print capacity is already booked through year end and potentially through Q1 of 2026. Now, again, that doesn't mean that they can't extend Destined Rivals and cut back on something else, because you can always, keep the printers running on one product at the detriment of another. And the other item is what they basically said was that they're going to increase print runs on new items going forward, to the detriment of some of the older products, and they're just going to have to sit because ultimately, if you have a fixed amount of print capacity, you have to sacrifice something. So, what'll be interesting with these early allocations is they're going to be based on how many booster boxes and other SKUs that the distributors get from Pokemon. So, and again, by get, I mean they're going to be told what they're going to get up until, or 3-4 weeks before release, which is probably a month away at this point, to when they're going to get them. But they'll know. So what'll be interesting is theoretically, say I get 300 boxes from one distributor for Journey Together. If they come back and say, okay, you're going to get 300 boxes of Destined Rivals, then in my view, the print runs are about the same. Because, while groups for other distributors are going to order more, it's not going to have any impact, quite honestly. But the print run is effectively the same. The spend is the same. across the board, and the pie is really unchanged the way it's allocated because, again, this is all pre-allocated. It'll be interesting with ETBs because ETBs were really, really tight. The same with sleeve boosters, and the same with bundles for some reason. And again, my theory is the bulk of them went to big box stores, MJ Holdings, Excel, folks like that, because for the longest time, I think they passed on a lot of their orders, and now starting with surging, they've started to take them. So that's why a lot of these items are no longer plentiful at distribution. And for example, for surging sparks, I ended up with 45 cases of sleeve boosters from one distributor, and I could only get two for Journey Together. So that's not an everybody else's spend is up and mine is way down. That's we just didn't get the product because it went elsewhere, or theoretically it didn't get printed. Now, I believe it did get printed, it just went elsewhere. So it'll be very interesting because I think ultimately the key focal point here is going to be the booster box number. If the booster box allocation increases from Journey Together, then there's a high degree of certainty that they did extend the print run. And by extend, I mean the amount of time that they were printing packs and packing them in sealed boxes or in booster boxes for Destined Rivals, which is something that they've said that they're going to do at some point. They didn't specifically say they're going to do it for Destined Rivals. I think they've hinted at it a little bit, and I think that hint was a lot more. A lot more we're going to do it than we don't know if we're going to do it. And quite honestly, I think it's a good thing. Because look, we see booster boxes pre-selling at 327. Quite honestly, I'm shocked that number is not in the four somewhere, but that number is still way too high. I mean, a healthy market, we'd want to see something at 140 to MSRP. I mean, that's the way that the market should work on this stuff. Now, are you ever going to get there? No. And the reason for that is, it's impossible to plan for 45% swings, both increase and decrease in demand. It's just, it's a fool's errand to even try because you're never going to get there. But it's going to be super interesting to see. And my guess is that my allocation of booster box is going to be up because they probably did extend the print run on these, especially on the booster boxes. But I'm super interested in the ancillary products because I know building battles now we'll have those for the store for the play for the Pokemon Play or whatever it's called. But we got almost none of those outside of that. And again, a handful of cases of bundles and sleeved and ETBs. But the booster boxes were pretty good. So, we'll see what happens. And hopefully by Wednesday this week, I have 2 or 3 of them so we can kind of triangulate and quite honestly see what it looks like. It's going to be super interesting. And hopefully for everybody, the numbers are up. So anyway, guys, have a good night. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, join the Discord, and we'll talk soon.